3, 2, 1. Good evening, everybody. This is the Public Works Committee of the Metropolitan Council. It's our September 7th meeting, and we have a quorum. I have present Nash, Benedict, Bradford, Evans, Gamble, Hall, and O'Connell. I only have 2 items on the consent agenda. Let me go back. I want to remind committee members that we have a special call meeting next Tuesday, probably one of these smaller rooms, to have NDOT update us on the walk and bike master plan, be at 4:30. All right, back to the agenda. I have on the second page, resolution RS 2021-1135, American National Gamble accepts the flood mitigation assistance grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to the Metro Department of Water Sewer Services and authorizing acquisition and demolition of 4 houses located in various floodplains in Davidson County. The next is resolution RS 2021-1136, Tunes, Nash, Welch, and Allen accepts a grant agreement between Metropolitan Water and Sewer Services, hands-on Nashville, for an AmeriCorps program participant to perform volunteer services on Metro's waste reduction program and activities. Either one of those need to come off the consent agenda. Speak now. Seeing none. All those in favor of the consent?
I wondered if you wanted to add Bill 865 to the consent.
Yes. Thank you. Last page at 55, one of our abandoned except Bill 2021-865, Gamble, Murphy, Nash, abandons an existing public water main easements and accepts new water and sanitary sewer mains, fire hydrant assemblies, sanitary sewer manholes and easements for property located at 3517 Brickchurch Pike, also known as Mulberry Downs Phase 2.
Chair, could we also potentially add RS 2021-1104? I didn't hear it on your list, but I think that was only deferred last time because of a request for some new information, but I think the resolution itself is okay.
If there's no objection, I can add. I didn't know if you wanted a little more explanation.
I had no need to delay it in the first place.
Anybody else want it on 1104? All right, resolution RS 2021-1104, O'Connell, Taylor, Murphy, Toombs, and Nash approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Metro Department of Transportation multimodal infrastructure for the Charlotte Avenue Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard Transit Headways and Congestion Management Project. That's the consent agenda. 1, 2, 3, 4 this time. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, yes, sorry. All those in favor of the consent agenda, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Consent agenda, 9 in favor, 0 against. On to RS 2021-1125, Nash and Bradford. In speaking with the administration, we're going to ask for a 1-meeting deferral. We'd like a little more clarification on exactly what the scope of this project is our expectations are in that regard. And we have to work with them and see what we can get done over the next couple of weeks. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? The point of this, I guess, probably comes as no mystery to anybody. We've had some discussions about like the grass and the medians along Knowles Road and who's responsible for cutting it. The councilman gets the call, but then he has to call the state rep because the state knows that. Trash, I think somebody said, is only picked up like once a month by the state along these main thoroughfares, and it sure shows. And then Zach mentioned the Billettsville has a contract with the state, and they do some of the maintenance at some locations along the interstate. So just to see if there's some potential for that. I know there's equipment issues and all kinds of stuff. It's not going to be done tomorrow or anytime, but that's what we're trying to get at. On the deferral motion, any more discussion? All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, 9,
back for a second?
Sure.
So if there needs to be some discussion about this, should that be something that I take up with the director of NDLT, or how should they be?
Which,
On the study to determine the feasibility of contracting with the state for NDOT to maintain the state roads in Davidson County?
and the question again?
If I had questions and wanted to discuss it, do I do it directly with?
Billy Fields, I think, is kind of taking John's position at NDOT for questions and answers. He can direct you to the right person.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't realize you were taking John's position.
Nobody can take John's position. I'm going to fill in.
All right. Bill 20, let's see, where's our main sponsor? Does anybody mind if we take both the LPR bills kind of back to back? Let me jump around here a minute and see if we get the sponsor. Both are okay. We're going to skip on to Bill 2021-835, Hall, Evans, Hager, Hauser, Swope, Tune, Taylor, Swara, Porterfield, and Bradford. Council Member Hall.
Thank you, Chair. We continue to work with the administration and water, and we found a non-legislative solution that basically, and we were talking about a little earlier, that solves a problem and does it in an extremely quickly or extremely fast way. So I think that's awesome. It shows, we keep plugging away, we can get some stuff done sometimes sooner rather than later. But if Mr. Snyder wanted to, or Mr. Jameson, just kind of walk through really quickly how we're going to compile that information to resolve the study component.
So the council members know that Metro Water Services has a very effective portal, and we'll be integrating this information into that portal. That'll take some collaboration with Metro IT, and we have not finalized that yet. So we're going to suggest a deferral while we can absolutely assure this can be done non-legislatively and take it with you.
Right, and thank you, Councilman Hall, for your time and allowing us to work with the council to find that solution. So it seems to be a pretty simple solution, so to speak. Each year we send you reports. They give the last year, next year, and we're going to do the next 5 years. But having that information separated by almost a year makes it difficult to go and compare. And so, and actually, someone in this committee mentioned it, and so we can't claim that idea, but to develop a portal that will put each of those years' information all in the same spot. So, as Mr. Jameson pointed out, we'll have to look at IT to help us develop that portal. But we have that information, and we'll just put it in there. So at any given time, any council members can go in and take a look at it and have that information readily available. And so, but thank you, Councilman Hall, for working with us on that.
Absolutely. So just quick summation is, this is what the goal was initially, right? To be able to better address capital improvement budget, capital spending budgets, and then things that popped up in between. For council members to be able to access all of those reports in one place at one time quickly solves the problem of having to go through and try to create a study and extend that time frame and stuff. So I think this is the best solution.
And the motion then is to defer.
Well, actually, what we'll do is we're going to defer definitely and give IT a chance to come back and actually put things in structure for us, and then if need be, we'll come back and add it.
Any other discussion? Motion to defer indefinitely, it probably needs a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of an indefinite deferral, vote saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. 9 in favor. 0 against. Okay. Let's, I think that takes us down to our 2 LPR bills. Yes. Okay.
Flip a coin. Save a lot of time.
Bill 2020-582 is the top of the agenda here. Johnston, Pulley, Nash, Rutherford, Murphy, Stiles, Toombs, Gamble, Young, Hancock, Ruffle, Hall, Withers, Hauser, and Cash. And we have an amendment. Do I get a motion from a committee member?
Johnson just stepped out again.
All right, let's go on to you. All right, to go to procedures?
Sure.
All righty. Bill number 2021-841, Rosenberg, Mendez, Suarez, Sepulveda, O'Connell, Benedict, Welch, Parker, Robertson, Porterfield. Amends the Metro Code laws to pertaining to the use of license plate scanner LPR technology in the public rights of way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to defer this 4 meetings so that it can stay amendable and serve as a vehicle for compromise legislation moving forward.
So moved.
Second.
Did you say for 4 meetings? Oh, okay.
For meeting.
Okay.
Any discussion on the motion to defer?
Well, I am,
Do we have a motion?
that motion.
Motion
and second.
And
Councilor
I do. I am in support of the deferral because I think that this is a very serious legislation that we are looking to enforce with LPRs. And while I know that we need them for deterrence of violence, and it's critically important, and I do believe that they're coming. But on the other side, I know that it disproportionately impacts people of color, and we want to make sure that we provide as best possible means to a very, very difficult decision. And I think that there are a lot of things that's not revealed in the compelling arguments that are made. Because I think that the other legislation and that's being proposed is necessary, as just as this one is necessary. But how do we come away with a balance? So I think having the approach of violence interruption like we have, the engagement of community organizations that have boots on the ground, and then having some sort of LPRs is going to be probably the very best outcome that we can have to make that compromise. And therefore, we need the legislation that's going to allow us to get to that place where it's going to be the very best legislation. And unfortunately, the 582 does not have any more time for us to be able to massage it more, whereas in 841, we do. And I think it's really, really necessary because there's always the unforeseen circumstances that occur, and it doesn't happen until something fatal that we realize, oh, well, we should have thought about this or we should have done that. It's always after the fact. So just trying to make sure that we have everything, all the I's dotted, all T's crossed as much as we possibly can is, to me, is the best option. Because I've been toiling with this so long and so much because I was a resident and I now am a still owner of property in one of the districts that have LPRs, and I actually help them get them. But for the masses, I think we owe them to get it right.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I know Councilmember Allen had an amendment to 841. I don't know if the sponsor is amenable to applying that before, if we'd rather wait for deferral.
Whatever the committee wants to do is fine.
All right. Well, I think to Councilmember Hurd's point, why don't we wait to apply that to see if there's other discussion and other amendments?
Anybody else on the deferral? Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. 9 for deferral, 0 against. 4 meetings. And back to the top of the page, Bill 2020-582, Johnston, Foley, Nash, Rutherford, Murphy, Stiles, Toombs, Gamble, Young, Hancock, Ruffle, Hall, Withers, Hauser, and Cash, amends the Metro Code of laws to pertain to the use of license plate scanner technology, LPRs, in the public rights of way. Do you have a motion? A motion?
Second.
Second for discussion.
Hello. I'd like to move the amendment. It's just basically some clerical stuff because we now have NDOT instead of Public Works, and so it's applying all of the policy to those named entities, so NDOT and their contracts and all that kind of stuff. It really is just clerical stuff. So I'd like to move the amendment, and then I'll move to defer for 4 meetings as well.
Okay.
I'll move the amendment.
amendment. Second. And a second. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. 9 in favor, 0 against. And we have a motion for a 4-meeting deferral. Motion? Second?
Question.
Question?
Would it not be, regardless of how many meetings, does it not become an indefinite deferral at this point?
I can speak to that. So a deferral at this point would be a withdrawal of the bill.
Okay.
At any deferral.
Correct. I can read you deferral 43.
Okay, so I move the bill. I withdraw my motion to defer.
While she's doing that, can I ask, given a 4-meeting deferral by Councilman Rosenberg, would that not allow time for this bill essentially to be refiled?
Yes, it would give it time to be refiled, and basically, I guess, it could be filed to catch up on second reading at the same time as Councilman Rosenberg's bill.
Okay, then let's do that. Whatever that is.
Withdrawal with intention to
May I ask, rather than a motion to withdraw, would the sponsor like to just withdraw?
No, I'm going to move to defer, and if that's an automatic indefinite, I'm not going to withdraw it.
Okay, so, Councilor Hurst?
So, is it possible, because I didn't think, I made the comment about the deferral because I didn't think that 582 could be deferred again. But it is my pleasure for both 582 and 841 to be combined so we can walk away with the very best option we can for this city. I don't want it to even appear that we have sponsors who are opposing, because I think we all are looking for the same end result. And I think that it would be most professional of us all if we were able to come together and take the very best from both and walk away with what we all could feel really, really good about. And I think that would be exceptional for us as a council and create some really good legislation that will be effective and fulfill what we all are trying to do. So I don't know if there needs to be some other legislation that's filed or what it's going to take, but I think that's the ultimate end result that we both all seek.
What's the motion on this?
Motion is to defer 1 meeting.
Deferral of 1 meeting.
Chair? Thanks. Sorry.
Yes?
No, I'm sorry.
So I asked the question, is it legislation, or is this something that needs to take place between the two sponsors?
Respectfully, I don't think that that's going to happen. I think we've got people that are so far on the end of the spectrum that just absolutely don't want them. I don't know that we can find a common ground. I think it's going to be one or the other. That's my personal opinion of it. I'm happy to work with whoever. I feel like we have done that. It's been incredibly collaborative. We've had multiple meetings. We've talked about it ad nauseum for hours and hours and hours. I just don't know that we're going to get any closer than we are, which is why there's 2 separate bills that have been filed.
Chair. I'd like to comment. I think I appreciate Councilmember Hurt's intention, and I would like to see us move in that direction as well. There are two fundamental differences in the bills. They're similar, but there are two fundamental differences, and they are the retention time and the way that they will be used. One only, 582 promotes using them in the right-of-way on fixed post and retention time of 10 days. And 4841 has a retention time of 24 hours and not on fixed post, only on police cars. So those are two fundamental differences that we have to figure out with these bills. But I would like to see some compromise and balance in them as well, and I support the deferral of both.
Just, did you want to? I didn't see you behind me. Sorry.
So yeah, as Councilmember Gamble said, there's the fixed versus mobile, there's the retention time, and then there's the uses, I guess. And I think that there's room for, I think that really the compromise for a pilot program between the fixed LPRs and the car-based LPRs or the trailers, and setting some parameters of setting those up and moving them around perhaps. Finding some sort of middle ground on retention, and then finding uses that everyone's comfortable with for the pilot program, and then being able to reevaluate after. So I think
If we locked the two of you in a room and wouldn't let you out until you came to an agreement, would they work?
Can I bring
well,
my
with
heels?
COVID and everything.
You know what? I would also like to see
Camera in that room.
more public engagement on this. As it was stated earlier, we have had some public engagement, but that due to COVID has all been virtual. And so if during these 4 meetings, we can have some more public engagement that's in person or hybrid, and maybe some kind of demonstration of the license plate readers, I think that would be beneficial.
The council lady, sorry.
Sorry, Chair, to Councilmember Gamble's point there, is it possible to get an actual physical display of how these work and what it is that we'd be implementing for the public to see?
I think Captain Gilder can speak to that because we were talking with Maggie Duncan over at the Chief of Police, and she did the same thing for the state legislature, and where people could see it in action. I don't know. I thought we were going to have this done before this meeting, and then I didn't hear anything, so I sort of gave up. But
yeah, I can circle back with her, but she's the director for the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police, and she, like Councilmember said, she coordinated a demonstration before, and she had indicated some willingness to do that for this body as well, so we can work to make that happen.
Well, so my thing is that we've had the outcry from the community to defund the police and to put that money towards something else that could help address it. So like the violence interruptions and looking at mental health issues, all of those things I think play a part in this, and we don't want it to seem as though with LPRs that the consequences of it all is providing more militarization for police or expansion of the police. So I think for that reason, we want to make sure that we are keeping our citizens in mind as well, the greater good of the citizens, because I know there are concerns of those who have been victims of a lot of the violence that has occurred and all of that. So we have to, and I just have to differ from Councilmember Johnston. As much as I love her and love the passion that she has, but I do believe that we can find a compromise. I just think that if we got it in our hearts and our minds, anything is possible.
Really quickly here. And if you guys want to come, I've got 2 neighborhoods who have them, and they're in the process of buying 4 more. So I'll have them in 3 neighborhoods. If you want to see them in real time, we can set up a community meeting. You can just come see what they did with theirs, because they're buying them and putting them up right now.
And that's good. And maybe that's what it takes, is that the neighborhoods themselves and not we as a body decide that, but let the neighborhoods that want them do them
But then there's an
themselves.
equity issue where people like in Green Hills can afford to do that, but people in other areas can't necessarily afford to do that. So you have to look at it from an equity perspective too. Plus, with the taxes, I mean, everybody's upset. Like, why wouldn't we provide this tool that helps people be safe? So I disagree with that. I think what it shows with his neighborhoods that have done fish fries and knocked door to door and gotten thousands of dollars raised in order to buy them themselves is because they're at their wits' end with the amount of violence that they are having to endure. And they are the black and brown communities. They are the ones that are over victimized.
Oh, I know that. I was the one that worked with them on their very first
So
grant
that
they
to
got
me is
for
the public
cameras.
outcry saying, please help us
I
make us
understand that,
safer.
but that's one set of community that is saying that. So I think that we can just come together.
We've
And
got
we
it.
just need to be willing.
We've got a very packed committee schedule tonight, as you all know.
I know, I got it.
So I'm going to declare discussion over. We got lots of weeks now to do some more discussion, think about some of these things. All those in favor of the motion to defer one meeting, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
That's 8-0. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't, well, I mean, I have one at 6:30.
But I